All right, here we are live from Beaky Road. We got the Mac and Jax inaugural podcast. This has been in the works for a good 5 or 6 years. I cannot believe they put words to paper. We're on the patio. I know they got a whole slew of topics. Mac's sporting the Celtics jersey, and Jax has got the signed Magic Como. What do you got for us today, fellas? Can't wait.
Well, first things first, let me introduce myself here. I'm Mac, this is Jax, and we have been working on this for years. This has been numerous years in the making here. I can't believe we're actually doing this, though. This is awesome.
Like I said, anything is possible.
Absolutely.
Just look at that jersey, and that's what he said.
Just like KG, baby. Anything's possible. Anything's possible.
So, let's start off today's show by the Golden State Warriors just swept the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yeah.
That's their back-to-back.
Yeah.
How do you think Garnett and the boys would have done 10 years ago against this team now?
Now? Oh, Golden State would kill him. Golden State would kill him. I think that, well, just based on their firepower and everything like that, like, when Durant came over, even though I hated it, like, he just added a whole nother level to Golden State, man. And, like, I think they're one of the best teams of all time. As much as I cannot stand watching them, I think they're one of the best teams of all time.
Because you look at Rajon Rondo, you look at Ray Allen, I mean, you look at their whole team. I don't know how they couldn't match up with them, but you've seen LeBron. LeBron's never been swept before, and he gets swept.
He did get well. No, he got swept against San Antonio back in
there's my basketball
back in
knowledge
07 there too. But like, I just look at it like you're talking about Ray Allen, and he's having all of these threes. Like, Golden State has 3 Ray Allens. Like, they got Curry, they got Thompson, they got Durant. Those guys can just chuck from anywhere. And then like Garnett and Draymond Green, they kind of are canceling each other out. Even though
they had a 73-9 team, and then they added the second best player in basketball.
Exactly.
I mean, you can't be much more dominant than that.
You can't. They're an all-timer for sure.
So looking at last night, taking a look at the NBA draft.
Yep.
So I'm a big Cleveland fan. I want Cleveland to get back in the finals, and the draft with Colin Sexton. Do you think that is some deal or no deal that LeBron stays in Cleveland?
I think he's absolutely gone. There's no chance of him coming back. Even though I'm a huge Colin Sexton fan, I think the Cleveland drafted really well, bringing him in with the 8th overall pick. And I know he made this plea last night trying to bring him into and telling LeBron to come back there, but LeBron's not going to listen to Colin Sexton, man. Like, that guy's his own boss. He's just, he's going to go to LA. They're going to do good things. They're going to get some amazing signings there, too. I think his tenure in Cleveland is done. There's nothing more he can do. He's got his championship there.
See, this is where I disagree with you.
What are you talking about?
Born from Akron, Ohio, loves the place. He's got everything he wants there. He has his team already set up. He has everything he wants with management. He is the coach of the team.
He is the coach of the team.
If he goes to LA, who are they going to bring in? They're going to bring in Kawhi?
They're going to bring in Kawhi, who is an MVP candidate. Right now, his second best player is
Kevin.
Kevin.
You think it's going to finally happen with Paul George, Kawhi?
I don't think Paul George is going to go to LA. I think, you know what, Russell Westbrook and him have a pretty good relationship. I will not be surprised if he re-signs in Oklahoma City. There's my hot take for the day right there. Paul George is going to re-up in Oklahoma City. Kawhi will go to LA. They'll start their brand new sort of program there too. And because LA is just swimming in money, they're going to get somebody to sign there. Absolutely.
So in this offseason, with the NBA just having a crazy offseason,
right?
Who do you think has the best chance to beat Golden State? I mean, you saw Houston push in the 7.
Right.
I mean, James Harden played unreal the whole series.
Right.
Chris Paul goes down. What do you think has to happen for Golden State to get upset?
You know what? The way it's working right now, I think the rest of the like I said, I hate Golden State, but I think the rest of the league just has to pray, man. Like, they have to pray for an injury or something like that. It's Houston was right there. I think if Chris Paul would have not been injured, they would have won that series. But Chris Paul is a free agent now too, and it's anyone's guess where he's going to end up. I think the best bet is honestly going to be Boston. Like, Boston, when you have Kyrie, when they have Kyrie coming back, they got Hayward coming back. Tatum's an absolute beast. I think they have the best chance now as they move forward to
and they have a possibility of getting Kawhi too.
And they have the possibility of getting Kawhi too. If they get Kawhi, if they happen to get Kawhi, I think they will run through the East, and it will be an epic finals if they go against Golden State there.
Well, we'll see what happens. But moving on to the Toronto Raptors now.
Oh God.
The Raptors have been close for a while.
They're always close
this year. They just fired the coach of the year.
Yeah.
Interesting move by them. What do you think the right move was, and what do you think of the Dwayne Casey firing this offseason?
I was not for the firing. I think that they have to do something. I think Masai did a really good job at limiting their contracts.
Limiting their contracts.
Yeah, limiting their.
Kyle Lowry makes $33 million.
No, what I mean, not in terms of the money given out, not in terms of the time frame. Like, he did a really good job. I think he overpaid, which you have to do. This was the year that they were going to make some noise, and I was a firm believer. Like, they won just under 60 games, and I thought, man, this is going to be the year. And then LeBron went into bully ball and just completely tore the soul out of everyone on that team. Like, he owns the city of Toronto. Like, LeBronto is what they're going to call it from here on out there, because it's just like he owns that city, and you could see it in every single.
How about that shot in Game 3 of the Oval?
Yeah, unbelievable shot. But he owns every single person's soul in that organization. You could see it in DeRozan's face. You could see it in Lowry's face. He owned everyone. And then after that game one they should have won. After that, it was all over. Once they gave that away, I said they're going to get swept here. Because
speaking about Game 1s,
yeah,
everyone's talked about J.R. Smith in the finals.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on if he puts that back, they win by 2?
Yeah.
What do you think the difference is in that series?
I still don't like. I would have said. I said from the very beginning that Cleveland was going to get swept, and this is coming from a LeBron guy. If they would have won that game, it would have made things a lot more competitive. But I honestly think that it would have been if Cleveland would have won Game 1, I still think it would have been Golden State in 5. Golden State just has so much firepower, so much more depth, and just basketball experience and poise than Cleveland did. Like, Cleveland should not have been in the finals. They're lucky that they're playing with one of the best players of all time.
See, this is where I have to disagree.
Why?
You saw how LeBron played in the first round against Indiana, 7-game series.
Yeah,
played amazing.
Amazing.
Then swept the best team in the East.
Yep.
Was the best player in every single game in that series.
Right.
He was dropping 40 in the first 2 rounds.
Yeah.
And then his back's against the wall against Boston.
Yeah.
Boston's got the best upcoming team.
Yeah.
Fair to say in the league.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Game 7 can't stop the King.
Yeah.
So he's rolling. He's got what? What did he drop in Game 1? 50?
Something like that.
51 points. I think he dropped in Game 1.
Yeah.
I think he was just rolling, and that just sailed everything off. They were having a great Game 1. Overtime came, he knew it was over because J.R. Smith screwed up. I think he wins that game. The way LeBron's playing, I think they roll to at least Game 6.
So yeah, it's tough. That finals game, that Game 1, I've been a fan of LeBron James since his junior year in high school. Like, I have all of his jerseys, everything like that. That was the best that I've ever seen LeBron play in that spotlight, and it still wasn't enough. That you could not play any better than he did in that Game 1, and it still didn't matter. It still didn't matter. Like, I agree. If they would have won that game, it would have turned the complexion of that series completely around. But it was not. Like, Golden State's just got too much firepower. Absolutely too much firepower.
Do you think LeBron, after this season, you'd say is the most, what's the word for it, the most dominating athlete? Do you think he's been the best athlete over the past decade?
100%. I don't think anyone that throws up an argument to that is an absolute moron. Like, just do not bring it up.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
The three athletes I think in my lifetime that have pushed him is Michael Phelps. Help me out, the runner. Usain Bolt and Michael Phelps.
Yeah.
And LeBron James. And I still think LeBron James takes the cake. I mean, looking at it hard, that his rivalry, Curry, all those guys, they have 3 rings now. They have the same amount as him.
Right.
So he might not be the greatest of all time,
right? But
I think he's the best, most dominant player of all time for sure.
I would have said this, and I am on record, like, I think that still Jordan is the best basketball player ever. If LeBron, by some magical realm, was able to beat Golden State in the series, I would have appointed him the top spot ever. Just based on his surroundings and everything like that, based on the players he had around him, there's absolutely no way that team should beat Golden State. If that would have happened, it would have been lights out. He's number 1. End of discussion. Game over.
Well, that brings us to our basketball.
Good. I'm parched. I need some Gatorade here.
We'll be back.
All right, we're back live with Mac and Jax. After the commercial break, I see there's been a jersey change. Mac sporting the Austin Matthews. Jack's got a personal favorite on Paul Kariya. What do you got for us in this segment, fellas?
All right, I'm going to have to take the lead on this one because, as much of an expert as I am in NHL hockey, I'm going to leave it to the QB right here. So, Jax, the NHL season just wrapped up a couple of weeks ago. What are your thoughts on this NHL postseason?
Obviously a big Leafs fan. The first round got underway. I mean, it was the same thing as 4 or 5 years ago when they played the Bruins in the first round. They went down 3-1. I thought they did a great job clawing back and getting to 3-3. Game 7, they're up going in the third period, and Leafs are the Leafs. They just blew it again. So I'm really happy with the way the Leafs played this year. But they got a lot of work to do, and they got to strengthen up that back end to be more of a threat down the road in the next coming years. I should have talked about Ovechkin winning first because.
Right.
For a while now, it's been Crosby, Ovechkin, and Crosby's had 3 rings. Ovechkin finally does it, and he beats Pittsburgh in the second round. He's never done that in his career.
Yeah.
So Ovechkin getting over the hump is definitely the story of the season. A lot of disappointments, I thought, this year for Canadian teams. You saw Winnipeg go to the conference finals.
Yeah.
They lost in 5 games to Vegas. Disappointing season for the LA Kings. I thought they would have made a bit of more of a race for it. They got swept in the first round. Let's look at Chicago Blackhawks dynasty.
Yeah,
won 3 championships in the last 7-8 years. Finished 12th in the Western Conference this year. I don't know what
happened.
You have Duncan Keith, you have John Taves, you have Patrick Kane, you got a good goalie. I don't know what's going on. They don't even make the playoffs. Disappointing year. Last year they finished first in the West. This year they only make the playoffs. I think it's the end for the Chicago Blackhawks era. I think they're too old. I think Brent Seabrook. I think Duncan Keith. I think they're done.
Wow, hot take here from Jackson White. Fresh off the meat rack there. Wow, unbelievable. All right, let's move on now. Next topic here. Disappointing seasons for Nashville, Pittsburgh, Boston, and Tampa. Who do you think out of those 4 teams do you think is the most disappointed with their results? Nashville, Pittsburgh, Boston, or Tampa?
You could argue anyone. Pittsburgh going back to back and losing to their rivals in the second round in 6 games on home ice too in Game 6. I was very surprised they didn't at least make the conference finals. I wouldn't say they were the most disappointing because they've won the last 2 years.
Right.
You look at Boston signing Rick Nash at the deadline. Made some big moves, gave up a lot of draft picks, and they were going for it. And they came up big time short. They lost in 5 games to Tampa in the second round. Tampa Bay loaded up, got rid of all their. Brought in McDonough, Stamkos, had Johnson in his last year. He's a free agent now. I'd have to go with Tampa Bay or Nashville. Tampa Bay loaded up and they were up 3-2 on Washington. Could have closed the deal in Game 6 or Game 7. They lost Game 7 on home ice. I think it was their goaltending, to be totally honest. You look at Nashville. Pecorino wins the Vezina Trophy. They just don't have the goal scorers. So I either say Tampa Bay or Nashville. Those were the 2 favorites to win the Stanley Cup this year, and both of them didn't play well when it matters. And I don't think Tampa will get back there because of how much money they used and how much they gave up this year to go for it this year. So I'd have to say Tampa Bay. They've been there 3 or 4 of the last years, and they just can't win in the they can't win in the conference finals. They lose in the Stanley Cup. I just think they can't finish, and I don't know if that's Stamkos, I don't know if that's Yzerman, but yeah, they can't get it done right now.
Wow, that's unbelievable. You might as well be speaking Chinese to me right now because I have no idea what we're talking about right now, but I do know this. I love a good sports story, and the fact that Alexander Ovechkin finally got over the hump and won his first Stanley Cup over years of getting upset there. But the big question is, I actually have turned into following Ovechkin on social media, and I just think it's amazing the stuff that he's doing right now. But do you think that he's partying too much? Is he enjoying this victory, this championship, too much?
Well, Mac, obviously it's a huge accomplishment,
Yeah.
And I think he partied for a week straight. I totally agree with what he did. However, I think it's getting to the point where it's too much now.
I completely disagree. Me as a casual fan, I like when they bring in those personal elements. And the fact that this guy's been upset time and time again, I absolutely love, I don't know about you, I've gone swimming in a couple of fountains before in my younger days there. it is an exhilarating experience. Like, I mean, and the fact that he's going around there doing like the breaststroke and things like that in these fountains, I absolutely loved it. It's great media, it's great entertainment, and that's what I think the NHL needs, is to bring people, more people, the casual observers such as myself, into this area and see that stuff.
I say it like this, you know, Sidney Crosby's got 3 rings, and he's all about the next season. I think Ovechkin, he's got to act like he's been there before, Matt.
Okay. But he hasn't been there before. This is his first time, Jax.
But it's not a vet move. He's acting like a 23-year-old rookie right now. He's the captain of their team. He's got to be showing that he's gearing up for next year. I mean, they call it a Stanley Cup hangover for a reason. And That's exactly what I think Washington's going to have.
All right.
A lot of people have been talking if Washington can get back to it, if Ovechkin can get back to that play. I don't think he can. I think this is almost it for his career. I think he's got 3-4 more years at best. I mean, I'm extremely happy his one is one, but I think he's one and done. I don't think you're going to see him score 50 goals again. I think this is almost going to be like the fairy tale ending of his career. He's very young. I think he's going to go to Russia in the next 2 or 3 years. I think the Alexander Ovechkin, Sidney Crosby thing is kind of back when they were in their rookie season. You know, Ovechkin won the Calder Trophy in his rookie year over Crosby, and ever since Crosby's rolled that since. Ovechkin made it close again, and I think Crosby's still got 7-8 more years of good hockey left, and I think Ovechkin's maybe got 1 or 2. So, you know, good for Ovechkin. Stop partying. I mean, you couldn't even throw the first pitch of the Nationals game. He threw it over the catcher's head.
But that happens with everyone.
Oh, come on.
That happens with everyone.
Athletes got to be able to do that.
All right, fair enough, fair enough. I don't even know what a Calder Trophy is, but I do know what Stanley Cups are here. If Ovechkin wins again, if he wins again, who will have the better sort of overall career? Do you think it will be Ovechkin or Crosby? If Ovechkin wins one more.
If Ovechkin wins one more and goes through Crosby to do it, when Crosby, I think, has a better team, it's definitely going to be a huge debate. It's going to be a better debate than Tom Brady, Peyton Manning. I'll say that honestly. He doesn't have two Olympic rings. Crosby scored the game-winning goal in 2010. He was a huge part in the Sochi Olympics team. It's going to be up for debate, but I still think Crosby's going to take the cake. But if he wins again and he beats Crosby, at the end of his career, he might get the last laugh.
Okay.
So, you know, even though he would only be 2, I still think that Ovechkin going through him twice at the end of their careers, you could argue that it is him. He's obviously the better goal scorer. Crosby's a much better team player, way better defensively, better on draws. Ovechkin plays the wing. However, it'll be interesting to see how they end their careers in the last 7 to 8 years.
Okay, let's go to the hometown team here with the Leafs here. Babcock and Matthews don't have the greatest relationship. Do you think that the Leafs can get over the hump and go on a run, or do you think that changes need to be made within that organization?
So obviously Austin Matthews had a spectacular regular season and kind of got blamed for their playoff loss against Boston in the series. Jake Gardner was obviously the big blame in Game 7, but he got blamed for not producing in the playoffs. You know, you want your hockey leader. I'd say he's the leader of the team. I think he'll be the captain next year to produce. And Babcock made it. It was pretty clear through the media that Babcock and Matthews had a little bit of a poor coach-player relationship, and I think that's got to be cleaned up for them to win. Obviously, like I said, they got to clean up their decor first. I don't think Austin Matthews is the problem at all. I think they got a great Austin Matthews, Nazem Kadri, Mitch Marner. They got a good goalie. I think everything looks good for them. I mean, they're American League affiliate. They just won the Calder Trophy, so they're going to have the best young players on already a great team with a great future. I think you're going to see the Toronto Maple Leafs win a Stanley Cup in the next 5 years, and I think you're going to see Austin Matthews hoist it.
Wow.
They're also talking about Mike Babcock too. I mean, he's been eliminated in the first 2 rounds the last 2 years, and his playoff record since Detroit hasn't been good.
Right.
So you know, it's definitely going to be interesting, and I think you're going to see in the next 3 to 4 years though, Toronto make a big push, and you know, I think they're going to win. I think he's going to be the Conn Smythe winner, Austin Matthews, right there in New Jersey.
There it is. All right, one last hockey question here. Big deal, little deal, or no deal? The fact that the Marlies won the Calder Cup this year, your thoughts?
Little deal.
Little deal. Okay.
They've been there 3 of the last 4 years. I think Sean Borkoff's going to be mad. I'm pretty sure it's 3 of the last 4 years they've been there. you know, with their amazing young team, they're probably only going to use 3 or 4 of those guys that were on the ice to win that game 7. But it's definitely not a no deal because
it's a championship.
Yeah, it's a championship, and they're right the league under. A ton of good players from that team that played for the Maple Leafs in the playoffs. Definitely a couple good prospects that we're going to see do well in the next couple of years for the Leafs.
Sounds good. Perfect.
So is that all for our hockey?
That's it for hockey segment. Thank God, because I can't handle it anymore.
And
I gotta get back in my comfort zone,
and
Jax.
we'll be back for the NFL talks in just a short few.
Sounds good.
And we're back with the first Mac and Jack show. Just looking at the jersey change, I'm guessing the next segment we're going to talk a little bit about football. Jax doesn't appear to have the right jersey on, so he's taken off one Peyton Manning and replaced it with another Peyton Manning. Here we go again. We got a third Peyton Manning jersey on.
that jersey is just horrendous. I cannot take you seriously while you're wearing that jersey. That is the shorts I can deal with. Those are great shorts, but that jersey is awful. Just awful. All right. So a little bit of NFL talk here. So the New England Patriots have had an interesting offseason here. A little bit of a controversy going on between Brady and Kraft. What are your thoughts on that whole dilemma?
You know, it all starts with the whole Jimmy Garoppolo trade. I think it was week 5.
Yeah.
Tom Brady's just getting everything he wants in that organization. I mean, he thinks he's the LeBron in that organization, but he's not. First of all, I think Belichick wanted to keep Garoppolo, and Brady didn't like the competition. Everyone says how such a great competitor he is, but he couldn't even compete with the guy on his own team. So what do I think of it? I think there's a massive argument between the 3 of them. I think Kraft took Belichick's side. Here's my hot take. I don't think Belichick's going to be coaching for the next, or I'd say he's got 2 to 3 more years with New England, and just packs up his bags and leaves. No one ever hears from him since after those 2 or 3 years. I think Kraft is absolutely kissing Brady's behind because he's rode on his coattails for the 5 championships.
For sure. I agree.
Gronkowski, probably the only New England Patriot I like. So there was a big talk about Belichick wanting to trade Gronkowski to the 49ers or the Tennessee Titans. And Brady gave him the ultimatum is if we trade him away, I'm going to retire. And that's how they got Gronkowski back. So what I think of it is Brady's just playing the he's the man card. And you know what? It probably is going to be successful for them because they're going to get their best player, Gronkowski, back. I mean, other than Tom Brady, their best player back. But this creates a massive thing, coach to player. I mean, you don't want your head coach and starting quarterback, probably the best or arguably the best quarterback of all time and the best coach of all time for sure, to have a disagreement going at the end of their careers.
For sure.
So I'm going to counter with this. So what do you think about a big Madden guy? What do you think about the 99 overalls in Madden this year? Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Donald, and Antonio Brown. The 399 overall.
See, 99, like that's almost a perfect score. I don't think in any video game anyone should have 99. And granted, Rodgers, Donald, and Brown are all fantastic players, but 99 is just under perfect.
What I don't understand is I don't think Aaron Rodgers is the best at his position. I think 41-year-old Tom Brady is better. I hate to say that, but I think that's true. He's coming off a collarbone injury.
Yeah.
You don't know how he's gonna respond with that. I mean, you've seen Andrew Luck with his shoulder problems. I mean, who knows if Aaron Rodgers will be back? I mean, that was a serious right collarbone injury. Aaron Donald, very young, had a great season last year. And obviously Antonio Brown, one of the best receivers in the game right now.
For sure.
However, I do not think these are the best 3 players in the NFL.
No.
So with regards to that, I think Madden screwed up. But yeah.
Well, in the Jax Power Rankings, who are the top 3 players in the NFL if that's not them?
Healthy or right
healthy?
Now?
Oh, healthy.
Healthy. Obviously, you saw J.J. Watt 2-3 years ago dominate. Should have won MVP for sure.
Right.
He's been sidelined the last 2 years with injuries.
Yeah.
I think he comes back this year and has a massive season.
Yeah.
So I think because of what he's done in the past, I think J.J. Watt's still there. I don't think he's too old yet. I think J.J. Watt. I think Tom Brady, and then I'd probably stick with Antonio Brown. I mean, that guy is just such a threat.
He's a lights out player for sure.
But then I don't know. Do you bring Gronkowski in that conversation? You know,
if Gronkowski,
do you bring Von Miller in that situation? I mean, winning the Sheriff a ring in the 2015 season, carrying the Denver Broncos to their championship.
Yeah.
You definitely don't give one to Cam Newton.
No, I agree.
He hasn't been there in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Most overrated I thought in the Madden overall ratings was Russell Wilson at 95.
That is a high ranking. Yeah.
I couldn't believe that. I couldn't believe that Madden did that. To be totally honest, I think he is maybe a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. Definitely not a top 3.
No, for sure. I agree.
So moving on, we just finished the French Open.
Yep.
Nadal took home his 86th French Open clay championship. He is the king of clay. There's no doubt about it. It was his 10th or 11th.
Yeah.
So we got Wimbledon, the next major coming up.
Yeah.
Roger Federer, Rafa Nadal, Djokovic. Who are you thinking is going to take home the Wimbledon championship this year?
Well, I think that's Federer's wheelhouse. Even though I know he's getting up there in age, I was actually interesting side story. The year that Federer was going to set the record for most consecutive Wimbledons, and he lost to Nadal. I was actually at Wimbledon when that match was going on there. So Federer's my guy. If I were to pick any one of those three, definitely in Wimbledon. I feel like he's obviously at home there, even though it's a place that he's very familiar with. And I am definitely feeling Federer between those three to win a championship. And I think that would just be icing on the cake for his career. I think he's the best tennis player of all time.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, I've seen him live. I'm a huge Roger Federer fan, and you know, I was thinking about my last comparison. They're the best athletes in the past decade.
Yeah.
I think he's got to be there.
Oh, for sure, I agree.
You know, you look at Nadal, you look at Federer. Head to head, Nadal has a better record.
Yeah.
However, most of those wins are on clay.
True.
So Federer's got 20 majors. He wants to play 2 to 3 more years left, and Nadal has 17. I think Federer is the best tennis player of all time. But if Rafa beats him for all-time majors and has a better head-to-head record, it's going to be very hard to argue that Roger Federer is the best tennis player of all time if he's not the best of his era.
Yeah.
Which is why I think Roger knows he has to win this Wimbledon championship. You talk about his legacy. I think he has seven Wimbledon championships. He needs to continue winning because he doesn't have many left. And I think Nadal is still, 29, 30 years old. Roger's one of the oldest players on the tour right now, and he has to win a major in the next couple more majors in the next couple of years to seal his legacy.
No, I agree. And I just think that if they were to go head to head, like Nadal, I find always a crapshoot because he just plays so violent and his body just takes such a pounding over the years. Like sure. I could see him, as much as I could see him winning the championship, I could also see him bowing out in like the second, third round due to injuries and stuff like that. And I don't really get that sense with Federer doing that same thing.
It's interesting too with Djokovic coming on 2 to 3 years ago, and Federer, you didn't even know if he was going to win another major. Nadal was hurt, and it looked like it was Djokovic's show for the rest. And you know, he's went silent. He hasn't won in a while. So you know, it'll be interesting to see this Wimbledon. All right, here we go.
You ready?
Let's do it.
All right.
So it's role play time.
Oh, role play. All right.
All right. So I want you to put your.
I need my attire there.
We're gonna pretend like we got a face in front of us on PTI.
Yep.
All right. First, Donovan Mitchell.
Donovan Mitchell. All right.
Oh shoot.
little blustery here at the Beaky Road Studios here. Donovan Mitchell is definitely my front runner for Rookie of the Year. We'll keep this short and sweet. As much as I love Ben Simmons, I just don't think that he's that big of he's more of an offensive liability. Not because of his passing and stuff, but because he just cannot shoot the basketball. So and he's had an extra year, which I think makes a world of difference. So I'm picking Donovan Mitchell for Rookie of the Year.
Next one, Dirk Nowitzki. One of my all-time favorites.
Yep.
Beat the Kings, got 2 rings. What are your thoughts on his end of his career here? He's got maybe 1, maybe 2 years left.
Yeah, well, I think like when it comes to European players and foreign players, he is by far and away, I think, the best European player in NBA history. He's definitely getting up there in age. He can't guard anyone, but I think he does a lot for Golden State, for the Dallas Mavericks. There, he is definitely their best player, or the franchise's best player over the years. Tips my hats off to Dirk Nowitzki on an incredible career.
Hey, welcome to the show, Mr. Wade. It's good to have you on.
Whitey,
Pleasure.
Thanks for having you on for the past 3 minutes here.
Thanks for having me on, Phil.
So another jersey change. I had to wear the Go Hawks. Had to go wear the Go Hawks jersey. And then, Mac, you want to tell us about your little green jacket?
Yeah, so the basketball program at Jacob Esper has not had a ton of banners over the years, so I thought I would sport my latest championship, which is in my golf tournament win in the Tomlin Classic a couple weeks ago. So I thought I would wear this just to show.
Did you break triple digits?
You know what? I did break triple digits. So the winning score was a 77 actually, and I won the tournament. We don't have to worry about it. We don't have to worry about the handicap system or anything like that. But the winning score was
Right on,
77.
Mac. Good for you.
Thanks.
for you, Mac.
Appreciate it, guys.
And about the golf, what do you think about the golf this weekend with Phil and Tiger?
You know what? Well, Tiger, I just feel like we're chasing a ghost right now. Like, I mean, we should just put him to bed. And I love Phil. I always cheer for the lefties because I'm a lefty myself. And yeah, it was a tough course, man. It was a tough course.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Tiger Woods. I mean, he has this big comeback, and he's missed the cut. He missed the cut the biggest major.
Same thing every year.
Same with Spieth, same with McIlroy.
Yeah.
Thought it was a huge beauty move by Phil Mickelson. I think it's stupid for anyone that's saying, he hit a moving ball. Big deal. He was plus 11. I mean, he's just having fun. Golf's supposed to be fun.
Yeah. Well,
you don't think the pros care, but all the media, they think this is. I think it's brilliant. I think it's great that he hit a moving ball. Would have went down the slope and he would have probably three-putted. Good for him.
Yeah, for sure.
All
right, let's keep it moving here. We got the guest of honor right here.
We got the 5 good minutes coming here, and I'm really happy you made it down to
the Beaky Road Studios.
So let's get right to it. Obviously, a good year of Jacob Hesper athletics, and what everyone wants to hear about is the football program. And what are your thoughts on going into next season?
Well, I always like talking football, as you guys know, and I love talking Jacob Hesper football. Go Hawks. Fellas, we had a great off-season. We realized we came up a bit short, maybe about a minute and a half at the Central Bowl. We got to work in the weight room. We got weight room records up for grade 10, for grade 11, grade 12, and those lists are lousy with football players. So we're pretty excited about that. We introduced something new this year. We had OTAs. We had 3 OTAs, and we had a great spring camp. We had 40 guys in equipment in June. That's unheard of. There'll be rosters next year that don't have 40 players, for sure. 42 guys competing in spring, so we're pretty excited.
And with that, obviously 40 players in spring camp, I mean, that was way bigger than my years. How do you think the programs just continue to grow and continue to keep its success?
I think the guys put a lot of pressure on themselves. No one wants to be a part of the group that ends this thing that's been going since 2011. We haven't lost a Wixie game since 2011. Both of you guys know that was against Glenview, a gritty bunch. So no one wants to be a part of that. And I think success breeds success. I can remember when we started this thing with Hatter, we couldn't get 19 guys out to a game. We now got 40 at spring camp, and I didn't really know what it meant until I heard that expression. Until you start to live it, success breeds success. But everybody wants to be a part of it, and we're making it difficult to be a part of this group. You can't just sign up. They're putting in their time in their weight room, and I'm proud of this group.
That brings me to my next point. We've taken a lot of heat over the last couple of years of not closing the deal in the last game of the season. Mitch Klee especially has given us a very hard time about closing the season. Do you think this upcoming season is the team that's going to get you over the hump to win the last game of the season?
Yes, I do. I was cutting grass this afternoon for about 2 hours, and I can tell you that the entire 2 hours I was thinking Jacob Hesper football. At spring camp this year, there's usually a word or a slogan or a motto that you get behind for a season. And our word next year is Ottawa. Next year, the Central Bowl, all the opposite games will be in Ottawa. Always want to go to Ottawa. We think it's a great group. We got some, 6 or 7 outstanding grade 10 students coming into grade 11. And then we got some, we didn't have a big fifth-year class last year. You have to have a big fifth-year class. And we got some dynamic athletes in their 5th year, so I think this is the year.
I got a question for you right quick. Me as a basketball coach at Jacob Hesper, I'm obviously trying to get to the level of success that you guys are achieving at Jacob Hesper football program. If you could give 2 or 3 things that you think establish a well-rounded program, what would they be?
I'm glad you asked that, Mac. I was fortunate to see Lou Holt speak in the early 90s down at Notre Dame. Lou said, when you have a problem, you got 2 choices. You can live with it, or you can fix it. And it's really, really tough when you're the coach and you got a small group and a player needs to be disciplined, but they kind of got you over a barrel. Yeah, but when you get to that point, when you got enough guys or you stay with it, no, it's going to be this way, this is the culture, so you got to stick to your guns. And then you got to get buy-in. You got to get your players, and we've talked about this I think we need more 3-sport athletes. We need to push more football guys to basketball, and you got to make it a big deal. You got to find ways, what program has 7 racks? What program has gym aware? What program's got a turf field? These are the types of things, we make it a big deal, and you know what? I think our kids realize how fortunate they are.
For sure. We're gonna get you out on this. Talk around town. You know, obviously Elijah Crookshank did a great job at quarterback last year. You've seen some good quarterbacks go through the system there, Jacob. What is your plans for the up and coming Joel Watson, grade 10, just won athlete of the year at Jacob Hespler? What is your plan at quarterback next season?
Well, I'll say this. Joel's a special athlete, and I've said this before. I think physically, Joel is ahead at the same age as James Roberts and Jackson White. That's physically. It's yet to be determined. It's yet to be determined how his senior career will play out. I was a little concerned. I know he was playing hurt with the Lions this year. I was hoping for a little bit more development. But I was just talking, actually today I just bumped into Coach Glenby in that game, and you know, when I watched Joel on the field, when he was on defense, he was the best player on the field. When he was on special teams, he was the best player on the field. And he was a quarterback and had the ball in his hands. He was the best player on the field. So Joel, he'll be flying our plane next year. And Elijah, you know, we give Elijah all the credit in the world. He won our coach's award this year. He did a fantastic job at quarterback, but he's going to be a dynamic receiver. I've got thoughts of, which I was thinking of today, I think we're going to put 3 fifth-year receivers together. And you know what? Get it done, fellas.
Yeah, you obviously saw, I mean, how good Joel Watson was in that Officer game. I think that gave you a little bit of looking forward to see what he's going to do the next 3 years here for Jacob. I mean, obviously losing Jacob Bradley, losing Gary Morgan, the best kicker ever, 41, baby. I mean, for sure. I mean, you're going to lose Seth Robertson, but hey, the guys are coming up. Guys in their 5th year, they're a year older. I mean, I'm really hoping this is the year to do it.
Well, you mentioned a name, and I'll give you, I wouldn't have thought I would have said this last year, but I'll say Quinn Robertson will replace Seth Robertson, no problem. And don't be surprised if Quinn Robertson makes a big play or big plays down the stretch.
There it is right there.
You heard it first.
Greg White hot take, ladies and gentlemen.
And that wraps us up for the Mac and Jack's first ever podcast. We'd like to thank our 5 Good Minutes hosts.
Thanks for stopping by, Greg.
Thanks for having me, fellas.
Same time tomorrow, knuckleheads. Go Hawks. Cheers. Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
Good night, Canada.